The last match of the week. Ferrero against Massú, the world #1 and #1 seed against the unseeded.
Bolas, por favor, a otro lado.
Now, I think there is going to be a terrific atmosphere in here. The 9,000 plus seats have, as I say, been changing hands for quite a lot of money, I'm told. About 290 odd euros for a courtside seat. And many times that sum is being asked today and being paid.
Time.
So put into bat in cricketing terms. Juan Ferrero by the decision of Massú to receive.
Primera set.
Best of 5 sets.
Servicio Juan Ferrero.
Here we go.
Play. Por favor, siéntate, gracias.
A latecomer hopping into a seat and being applauded by everybody.
Play. $15-0. Iguales. Out.
We're playing on a green set hard court, and at slight altitude. The ball fast through the air this week, the players have been saying.
40-15.
Jason, good enough start there from Ferrero. We haven't yet talked about who might win.
Well, I think it's going to be very interesting. I think a lot depends really on how Massú reacts to playing in such a big final. Earlier in the year, we saw Guillermo Coria in the final of Monte Carlo in his first Masters Series final. Played pretty poorly, played really well throughout the week, and then didn't perform in the final because of the nerves. So I think a lot depends on that. If Massú can handle the occasion, I think it'll be a very tight match because they both play very similarly. It's just that up until now, Ferrero's been able to do it slightly better.
You could say that Ferrero has been there, done that, got the T-shirt, and this fellow, well, just arrived.
Nicolás Massú.
Composing himself well, though, here. That's a good sign.
We're going to see a lot of these rallies, I think. Both players play a very similar game plan. Big first serves, big forehands, and both will be trying to get at their opponent's backhand as much as possible.
0-30.
Big test early on now for Massú. Very important to try and get the first couple of service games under his belt to steady the nerves.
One of
the best ways of steadying the nerves for aces.
I think we'll see both players use that slice serve out wide to the deuce court as much as they can. Both have been serving it very well throughout the event. Try and take their opponent out of court so that they can open it up for the first ground stroke. I think we're also going to see Ferrero come into the net a little bit more perhaps than Massú when he gets the opportunity to do so. He's improved his volleys. He's a lot more confident now when he moves into the forecourt. And it's added a new dimension to his game.
Let from service.
Little applause for the footballing skill there. We had a lot of footballers here this week from Real Madrid, including David Beckham and his wife, and Roberto Carlos, who scored yesterday in their 2-0 win.
Ferrero.
So there is a quick blow struck by Ferrero. There is Roberto Carlos. Well, he's having a busy week. He's been here about this, I think, is his third visit. As I say, he was very much in action yesterday in the pouring rain, scoring a lovely goal.
Well, it's going to be a tough afternoon for Massú if he doesn't manage to dictate the rallies. Once he gets behind, Ferrero tries to move him around as much as possible, playing one to the backhand, one to the forehand, and gradually Massú getting further and further behind the baseline until Ferrero has an opening to play into.
Roddy's being worn down.
I think the last couple of rallies have been a very good indication of the difference between these two players, in that Ferrero won't mind changing direction on the ball with his backhand in order to keep Massú moving, but Massú generally likes to play it back cross court and just play more of a consistent rally stroke. Therefore wasn't quite as able to make it when he attempted to go down the line.
40-0.
More problems when attempting to go up the line. I think Massú's got to really try and work his feet a little bit quicker than that to try and get round and use a forehand in that position if he wants to try and change direction on the ball.
And a difficult low ball there to attempt the shot he tried.
40-15.
I suppose at 40 love, well, you can afford to risk something.
Juego Ferrero.
Well, he started in top gear, unfortunately for Massú. Already a break ahead. It's 3-love for Ferrero.
Ferrero gana 3-0.
Sí, sí. The tape. Okay, no problem. Ahora o next changeover? Ahora, sí. Sí.
Well, you couldn't have asked for a better start.
No, it's perfect, really, as far as the #1 in the world is concerned. Of course, going to be highly motivated today. Not only is he #1 in the entry system rankings, but if he wins today, he will then move into first place in the champions race, taking over from Andy Roddick. And he said that's something that every player dreams of, him included, to be the undisputed world #1. And I think that's something that he very much wants. So as well as winning his first Tennis Masters Series title on a hard court and indoors, to become the undisputed #1 in the world, it'd be quite a day for Ferrero.
And of course he knows that hot on his heels still Roddick and Federer, and in theory either of those two could overtake him in the last weeks of the year, 2 more competing weeks, and then the Masters Cup. Here is the left ankle that has been bothering him. He's had it strapped every day, and it was too tight against Ferrero. 2-5 down in the final set. Rather questionably, he sat down and had the strapping removed. But he went on to win, saving 2 match points. And just a bit too tight around the side of the foot roller, but he's just snipping the side bit there.
And he said that it's been perfect in the last couple of matches, hasn't caused him any discomfort at all, obviously putting the strapping on as a precaution, but there's nothing worse than having that on too tight when you feel a lot of pressure in the area that you have strapped, and it does inhibit the movement slightly, but it's been a perfect start, so something that hasn't really concerned him in those opening 3 games.
Well, I'm sure the whole of Spain will be following him today. It's been a marvellous season for him, winning that first Grand Slam in Paris. Great jubilation that day. And hoping to complete his first indoor win in the Masters Series, and of course then head for Paris in 8 days' time, and then Houston, the season-ending championship, the Masters Cup. Been a busy year. Then of course he's got the Davis Cup final. We'll speculate on that as we go on watching this match about what might happen in Melbourne. They're challenging the Australians on home soil. Love 3. There isn't quite so much pressure on a player playing a best-of-5 set match to get off to a love 3 lead like this.
And he said yesterday that he found it difficult to get going against Elanawi because he was a bit tired, was a bit jaded, and it just took him 3 or 4 games to really get the blood flowing before he could feel he could move as well as he could. And both these players do move very well indeed, and it becomes an integral part of their game plan.
15 iguales.
Dunked out of the way just in time. Well, he's only won 5 points, or 6 points now. Massú, and all 5 points, as I was right first time, and the only one he's actually won is his ace. All the rest have been Ferrero errors. He does look a little bit inhibited to me at the moment. He's still
30 iguales.
affected by the occasion.
When you get nervous, you tend to get a little bit defensive, and you can see Massú's taking a position quite deep behind the baseline. Therefore, it's not easy for him to be able to try and dominate his opponent. And Ferrero, even though when he's missing a few shots, he is dominating the vast majority of rallies. So it's going to be difficult for Massú to win the match if he continues with that game plan. And because Massú is planted firmly behind the baseline, defending throughout the rally, it gives Ferrero an opportunity then to play short here, opening the angle of the racket face, putting some beautiful slice on the ball, and Massú nowhere near the ball. Excellent tactics from Ferrero.
Well, signs there of Massú steeling himself to be more aggressive and take action himself.
It's just a case of forcing himself to do that. He was invited to get up to the net there because the Ferrero slice forehand dropped a little bit short. The approach was a little bit tentative, but it just bounced inside the baseline, and Ferrero going for a little bit too much, so a little bit of a let-off from Massú, but hopefully he'll continue playing a little bit more aggressively.
Let primer service.
Didn't hear the bleep. Please make it louder for us. That's what I'm always asking for. The machine, he says, well, it was. There's a little device attached to the net that measures vibration and announces the fact in the umpire's ear with the bleep. If it rang a gong, we'd all hear it. Then we wouldn't have any arguments. Lovely play. And I hope that hasn't done anything to the ankle.
Well, it was an excellent tactical play from Massú to serve wide and then go into the space with the first forehand. Ferrero doing unbelievably well to get that ball back cross court, but just losing his footing. And Massú then did exceptionally well to be able to control the backhand half volley. So good tennis from both players.
It wasn't an ankle twist, fortunately. the week they were too careful. Didn't commit himself as he has done all week. He was hitting
Iguales.
such fierce drives against Chela of that sort.
That's his trademark, really. The forehand inside out hits it really hard with spin as well, so it does give him the control. But you have to keep the racket head speed up in order to be able to execute that shot well. And when you get tight, you tend to slow that down and push through the ball, and therefore you don't get enough spin and lose control.
Another pushy backhand. He's still very tight.
Ventaja Ferrero.
Well, yesterday I think he played a very astute match against Delanawi in terms of tactics, but today I think he's a little bit lost at sea. Doesn't really know what to do against Ferrero, particularly when he's got these nerves to contend with.
Iguales.
He said, as a lad, his dream was one day to play at the same level as the top 10 players in the world he used to watch on television. And here he is now among them and beating some of them. Ferrero giving him a little bit of breathing space here.
Massú.
And he may just be playing Massú into some sort of form.
Massú.
That's what he knows himself. There's his coach trying to encourage him to go for his shots.
Ferrero gana 3-1.
Yes. It's a terrible thing when you feel tense and nervous on a big occasion.
Will have done him the power of good. Easier to hold serve. Worse feeling as a player than being unable to swing freely at the ball, create a lot of racket head speed. Of course, that's where all the spin and pace is generated. Without that, the player becomes pretty impotent.
15-0.
Already 3 aces, and it's been a feature of his game the whole week, frankly. Having got over the difficulties of beating Ferrero in the first round, it's so better and better.
I think it's an excellent point you make, John, about the first serve of Ferrero. It's one of his most improved aspects of his game in the last year to 18 months, and I think that's because he wants to be known as a player that can play on all surfaces. It's very important to him. He doesn't want to be known just as a clay court or slow court specialist.
And curiously enough, he learned his tennis on hard courts, not on clay.
Exactly, and I think that's why he's able to fine-tune his game plan a little bit better than perhaps other clay court specialists when he does play on this surface.
Now that's better. Massú opening his shoulders and getting a better length.
I think that's all he's going to be looking for in terms of his game plan. Good length on the backhand, try and keep Ferrero deep so that he can't dominate him, and then whenever he gets the forehand, that's when he's going to start to look to try and dictate play.
Well, the crowd is going to take a part in proceedings today, no question about that. I don't like to see a 40-love lead slip away.
Ferrero.
I think Ferrero a little bit relieved to escape from that game. And there's Patricia, his girlfriend, watching him. She'll be relieved too. It's 3-2. Oh, excuse me, it's 4-1.
Well, I think it's been interesting to watch the first 5 games of this match. We've seen a distinct pattern emerging. If we use TMI to have a look at the players' rally hit points, starting with Ferrero's, we'll see that he's playing the vast majority of his shots around the baseline. The vast majority of those towards the middle and left-hand side of the screen are forehands, so he's definitely able to dominate his opponent. Then if we swing that around and we have a look at Massú's rally hit points, we'll see that the vast majority of those are much further behind the baseline, and Ferrero's able to get at the Chilean's backhand and then able to force him deep cross-court, particularly these down in the bottom right-hand side of your screen. They're all defensive shots from Massú, and they open up the court for Ferrero to be able to hit into, and that's why he's enjoyed a much better start in this match. But we have seen signs in the last game that Massú is starting to open his shoulders and feel a little bit more comfortable in the environment.
Well, there were signs that he was beginning to relax at last and start hitting, keeping a better length on a couple of fierce backhands. And let's hope for his sake that he does start to feel comfortable and start to enjoy the occasion. And the racket's being sent off for stringing. Nicolás Massú, trailing 1-4, has just sent off a racket to be restrung. Obviously the tension is not suiting him at the moment. If the ball is flying, you'll want it a bit tighter, the strings, so he gets a bit more control.
Well, that's the key. If you're a little tight or a little nervous, you always like to switch to a racket that's strung a little tighter so that it gives you a little bit more control. The ball doesn't fly as much as you push the ball because your arm's locked, and therefore he'll just be asking for that perhaps to be strung a little bit tighter. Yesterday he was requesting it to be strung at 61 pounds, so today perhaps going up a pound or 2, just so that he has that in his bag to fall back on if he feels he needs it. And then when he starts to play more confidently, to generate more pace, he might then slip back down in terms of tension.
1-4.
Well, the tactic was a good one, and Ferrero's had success with this previously in the match, keeping Massú deep behind the baseline. Chilean dropping it short. Ferrero then just at the very last moment opening the angle of the racket face and trying to play an inside-out drop volley. But on this occasion, just getting a little bit too much inside the ball, floating wide of the single sideline.
Let segundo servicio.
Well, I don't know whether you heard that at home, but we heard it here. That little bleep. Less noise from the crowd, perhaps, at that moment. Getting better.
It's a huge confidence boost for a player when they're able to turn defence into attack. Early on in the rally day, he was under pressure, but then he was able to improve his court position, eventually start to put Ferrero under enough pressure, particularly with his forehand, to force the error.
The sound of a mobile going off. Imperceptibly, he was relaxing and playing better.
Massú.
And the first really decent service game he's played.
Ferrero gana 4-2.
Even if he doesn't go on to win this opening set, at least he's managed to settle his nerves enough to put the ball out of the middle of the racket aggressively, which will give him a lot of confidence going into the rest of the match. And you were right, John, when it's a best of 5 sets as opposed to best of 3, the first set isn't as important, and players often sometimes will still feel they've got an excellent chance of winning the match even though they do drop the opening one. So not all lost for Massú.
Well,
that looked a bit long from here. And he certainly thought so. And TMI agreed. But the important thing is, unfortunately, Mohamed Layani didn't.
Unforced errors. Ferrero slightly more, 2 in fact, but Massú 9 unforced errors and just 2 winners. But many of those coming in the first 2 or 3 games of this set. His play has improved drastically over the last couple of games.
40-15.
But you can tell by the decibel level of the grunt from Massú that he's getting into this match at last.
40-30. Juego, Ferrero.
Well, good serving, taking a little bit off it, but going for accuracy this time, catching Massú unawares.
Ferrero gana 5-2.
Consolidating nicely,
Pelotas nuevas, por favor.
5-2.
Serve is important for both of these players, particularly Ferrero. He was saying yesterday that was the main reason he thought he was able to beat Federer, dominating with his first serve. You could look at today's statistics, 55% of those first serves are finding their mark, and he's winning a whopping 83% of points when the first serve does go in. So that allows him to dominate the rally, and that gives him a lot of confidence. But look at the second serve points won, 60%. That's something that Massú is going to have to try and rectify if he's going to get back into this match. I think we'll see something slightly different if we look at Massú's service profile. The first serve percentage is not bad at 67%. He'll be pretty happy with that, but they're nowhere near as effective as Ferrero's. He's only winning half the points when his first serve goes in, which is nowhere near good enough. So he's going to have to look at that, perhaps try and put a little bit more pace on the first serve in order to try and get a few more free points. But he is having some success on the second serve, and that's primarily because he hits a big kick serve out to Ferrero's backhand. So perhaps he can use that more as a first serve too.
Well, I do believe he is now beginning to enjoy this match, which for the first few games he didn't. He looked very tense, making a lot of mistakes. You could tell always from the footwork it was a little sluggish.
Time.
But now he's all right. And you know, you can tell by people's sort of intensity. The grunt is a good barometer for him.
Very good. Beginning of the match, we hardly heard him when he was hitting the shot, but in the last couple of games he started to feel a little bit more comfortable. He started to get his timing, and the grunt has returned, and I think he started to play somewhere near his best tennis.
Just one break. We're going to change tennis balls.
Well, Massú has talked about the fact that this week he's tried to forget about who he's playing and what his ranking is going to be because of the results this week. But I think today he's struggled to put the fact that it's a Masters Series final out of his mind. And that's why, of course, he's a little bit nervous. Ferrero, on the other hand, has the pressure of being the world #1 and the possibility of losing that ranking at any time if he doesn't have success, but he said he's been able to put that out of his mind and play good tennis despite that.
these rallies, punishing in the extreme physically and
15-30.
testing mentally as well, are similar to the ones that Massú was playing against Chela, but Ferrero here is standing much closer to the baseline and taking the ball early, therefore giving Massú less time than he had against Chela.
We talked about Massú having to try and improve the effectiveness of the first serve, and there was a good example. Excellent accuracy down the tee. Ferrero looking for the kick serve out to the backhand, but good disguise from the Chilean.
Another good one.
40-30. Juego, Massú.
Good variety on serving, just what you were talking about.
He loves that kick serve out to the backhand on the ad side, forcing Ferrero back behind the baseline and wide of the single sideline. So even if the Spaniard does get the ball back in play, Massú's been able to dominate the rally thereafter.
So Ferrero trying to serve it out to Massú. I'll have an opportunity just to go for a few shots here, nothing to lose. Who knows, he might get a break. Best rally of the day.
Great tennis from both players. Massú doing exceptionally well to be able to get racket on ball when pushed so wide to his right. And Ferrero able to make the ground, but you can see there Massú moving back toward the middle of the court here on the left of your screen, and therefore allowing Ferrero to just place the ball up the line for a winner.
The return too short.
$30-0.
That's the first. Well, big point this. Two extravagant misses. Ferrero one wanted to get
30, 40.
the point over a bit too soon. And here's the first chance for Massú to break.
Well, the footwork was poor here from Massú on this particular
Nicolás.
forehand. Didn't quite get his feet set, and therefore he mistimed the ball slightly, which meant that it dropped a little bit short, and Ferrero wasn't going to make the same mistake twice.
Let, servicio.
It seems to me that Ferrero is suffering a little bit himself in nerves here. He's made 3 uncharacteristic forehand errors. Didn't get his feet moving at all then, and a second break point. And Massú a little tentative in that rally. Not quite ready to unload on a couple of opportunities he had. What a pity for him.
Ventaja Ferrero.
Magnificent concentration from Ferrero, cleaning the lines in the course of that rally to produce his first set point. Perfect ending, serving onto the line, though Massú thought it was a fault going forward to complain, but he won't get away with it. It's 6-3 after 49 minutes.
From here looks like this. If I come there, maybe. If I stand from here, looks like this.
Well, Massú thinks a second call has gone against him. He had one earlier in the set that we thought too was a bad call. And EMI,
Larga, marca larga.
TMI rather, agrees that that was
Mira
a
con
fault.
arriba, miras aquí.
Mohamed está así mala, no puede tocar la línea una pelota que está así mala.
Para mí, from here, mira.
Mira, bájate a verla.
If I'm aquí, sí.
Bájate a verla y vela.
Yo bajar, sí. Con Clay, okay, but from here, yo no.
Mohamed está así mala, ¿cómo?
Well, it's pointless prolonging the discussion because he's not going to get it back.
From here, it looks different.
Well, it was a pretty good set from Ferrero, 50% first serves, 11 winners, 13 unforced errors, but he managed to take advantage of his one break point. Massú at 67% of first serves. He'll be delighted with that, but they weren't as effective as he would have liked. 3 winners and 10 unforced errors, so he's a little bit tentative. And the key there, break points, had 2 chances, but didn't manage to make the most of either of those, whereas Ferrero had 3 and managed to get the vital break.
Ferrero 6-3. Long more.
Well, it was interesting that Massú making a lot of fuss about the last point of that set, a serve by Ferrero that he hit back long. He thought it was a fault, and when we replayed it with our TMI, it did seem to be out, and that's the second time it had happened in the set. And one feels a little sorry, therefore, for Massú playing in Spain against the Spanish number 1 with the Spanish umpire. He'll think there's a plot, but I don't think there is. I think Mohamed Layani is a first-class umpire. But of course, it's a very difficult line to call that right under the chair. And of course, from where he's sitting, the ball is bouncing between him and the line, and he can't really see the edge of it. Has it clipped the line or not? Well, we didn't think it did clip the line on TMI, but obviously Mohamed didn't see it as a clear error, and therefore couldn't know.
And I think that's the right decision. If he's not sure, he can't get involved on such a vital point. He has to have faith in the lines person that they've got a better view than he has, and therefore that they made the correct call.
So there's the mark where the ball landed. Look,
Time.
quite interesting. And of course, those things do happen in tennis. You get bad calls, but you have to be able to accept them. But a good first set by Ferrero. Just a slight tightening of the arm towards the end of it, and closing it out, surviving the couple of break points. Massú a little bit upset with life at the moment.
Segunda set al servicio Massú.
So the first set to Ferrero. Here is the second. It's Massú to serve.
Zero 15.
There's the Prince of Asturias, Philippe de Bourbon y Grecia.
Zero 30.
Well, this is obviously a huge game for both players. An early chance here for Ferrero to put pressure on Massú. Set down in by best of 5 set matches. Not too bad, but a set and a breakdown against the world #1 in this kind of form. Starting to look like a mountain to climb.
Start. Just what he was hoping for, the chance for the early break at the start of this second set.
Ferrero.
And he's got it against a still mad Massú, enraged
Juego, segunda set.
by the decision on the last point of the first set, but he's got to forget all that. It's no good harbouring these thoughts.
Well, it was good break by Ferrero, and I think if we have a look at TMI, we'll see that there is a distinct pattern emerging on the return hit points of the players. Ferrero, there you can see the balls nicely grouped, so no variation from Massú, not using any body serves at all, and Ferrero very comfortable in that zone. Whereas if we look at Massú's return hit points, we'll see Ferrero's varying his serve nicely, and Massú really isn't in any rhythm, doesn't really know what to do to best return the Spaniard's serve.
Zero 15. Iguales.
The consistency of Ferrero is forcing Massú to try and play aggressive shots in positions that he's not comfortable doing so. That's why he's making a lot of unforced errors.
Well, he's hit 10 unforced errors on his forehandling now. Massú, and in fact Ferrero's hit 9, but of course those are the forcing wings, so they'll be going for a lot, risking a lot, hoping for a lot of winners, and not minding a few errors. That's his first ground stroke winner.
And it's always a case of trying to get the ratio right between winners and unforced errors, particularly from the back of the court for these players. And with Massú making 16 unforced errors, and that being his first winner from the back of the court, it's one of the main reasons that he struggled to make any impression on Ferrero in this match.
40-30.
Well, these are the types of points which really help build a player's confidence when they're in
Ferrero
total
gana 12.
control of the rally and they have the confidence to be able to try shots that perhaps they wouldn't do if they weren't playing their very best. Drop shots, backhand topspin lobs, the full array of strokes from Ferrero, and he must be feeling very comfortable now with this 7-2 love lead.
He's got him wrapped up.
Well, Massú's just not able to put Ferrero under any pressure whatsoever from the baseline. He's playing way too deep. And Ferrero there is able to just dominate the rally, looking to sneak in once he felt Massú was under enough pressure that he wouldn't be troubled at the net. It's a little bit more like it, able to get Ferrero on the back foot. A nice use of the wrong footing shot there to force the Spaniard into error.
The frustration beginning to appear now. Small wonder.
15-30.
Started nervously, relaxed, had a chance to come back with Almodovar again, filmmaker. But having failed to break back, I think that was the key moment for him. He's sort of been fretting ever since.
$34.
lot of work for 1 point.
And that's what puts you under pressure mentally when you feel you have to play your very best tennis and play for as long as you had to in this rally just to get to game point on your own serve. And that's when it becomes mentally challenging to really believe that you can win this match, particularly given the fact that it's best of 5 sets.
Juego, Massú.
Ah, what a wonderful finish to the game for him. His third ace, and he gets his name on the board, but he's trailing by a break. It's 2-1 Ferrero.
Well, that was a much better game because he was able to finish with a couple of winners, one off the forehand, one off the serve. I think it would be interesting to have a look at his winner's profile. Amazingly, just the one off the forehand side. You would expect him to be much better than that, and one also off the backhand. Only the one at the net as well, so you can see there's not going to be many winners in total after just 3 service winners, giving him 6. So he's going to be looking to improve that both on the first serve, but particularly the forehand. And then if we have a look, I think we're going to see in stark contrast that Ferrero's winner's profile is going to be a lot better. 4 off the forehand, still perhaps a little surprising that it's not a bigger amount. 2 on the backhand, 2 at the net, and 5 service winners. So he's hit 13 winners, and generally playing a lot tighter, not as many unforced errors, and that's one of the main reasons why he's been able to control the vast majority of the match to date.
Well, Ferrero, we saw, had to ease the strapping on his left ankle earlier. He had the trainer on just to cut a little bit of a way so it wasn't pinching his foot. And just now Massú was attending to his ankle by putting some strapping around, and he took his sock off and put that ankle brace around it, tightened it up a little bit. And it's a very sensible thing because the very grippy nature of these courts means that the traction between court surface and shoe is very good, and you get terrific pressure on the ankles. And a lot of players, most players, will come on with ankle straps.
Yeah, one thinks of Leighton Hewitt, always has a couple of ankle straps on. Michael Chang played throughout his career with a couple of ankle straps. Many will strap their ankles under the socks like we've seen Ferrero do earlier in the match, just on his left ankle, and many will use the straps that go over the socks like Massú, just for a little bit more precaution against twisting the ankle, because of course that can leave you out of action for a good 3 or 4 weeks. Then you've got the rehab period, then you've got the period when you have to get back to full match fitness, and if you're out of any kind of action for up to 3 months, then it can be very difficult to very least get back to where you were before the injury.
Those court surfaces vary in their grip. The ones in Australia are particularly grippy, the rebound. Let's remember that awful Black Friday when within 2 or 3 hours we lost from the tournament both Gabriela Sabatini and Mark Woodford, both with awful ankle injuries. Carried off court, both of them. Well, he has a break in the second set already. He's 2-1 and so.
Correction was good, 15-0.
And Massú is going to be thinking, well, why didn't you overrule the fault on set point? But a good overrule, it did clip the line. This is numbers 5 and 6 following one another.
Juego Ferrero. Ferrero gana 3-1.
Well, he was given a very easy ride on that service game, but one has to say that the two aces could not have been returned anyway, so he earned the easy game. Well, that's a tactic he might try a bit more, coming in behind his serve.
15-0.
I think at the beginning of the match, both players would have wanted to try and fine-tune the game plan slightly if things didn't go well by coming into the net, perhaps behind a big kick serve if they're going to serve and volley, or by an approach shot, particularly off the forehand. And I think it would be a good time for Massú to change things up, just to make things a little bit different and difficult for Ferrero.
Iguales.
There's Mark Miles, the CEO of ATP Tour, and he and Tiriac and the mayor of Madrid had a press conference earlier today announcing plans for the future. They plan a 10-day tournament here in Madrid, men and women together. Last week in September, first in October would be their first choice, but that would have to be negotiated, of course. I think it's very exciting, Jason, that the city of Madrid, with a new site,
15-30.
which is where the Real Madrid training ground is, a little way out of Madrid, where the scope for a really big centre court, about 15,000, other show courts, and about 40 outside courts. And that, of course, would be also the site of the tennis at the Olympics. Well, now, we can ill afford to go down another break. Stands well back for this first one.
30-40.
And they beat him. Fourth ace.
Forced to raise the level of his game there, and I think that might be a good thing. Just finally open his shoulders and think, really, I'm in a situation where I've got nothing to lose now, and hopefully for his sake he might then start to play a little bit better.
And a united sigh from 9,000 throats for
Iguales.
a Spanish error. Huge crowds we've had this week here. From Monday to Friday, or rather Monday to Saturday, 2 sessions on Monday to Friday, 1 session on Saturday, brought 76,000 people here. We had another 12,590 watching the
Ventaja Massú.
2 days of qualifying, which is quite wonderful, really. They should have about 6,000 people a day watching qualifying. The 2 coaches trying to conceal their emotions, but obviously churning away inside.
Juego Massú.
And he's held from 1540. Well, that is an immense relief.
Ferrero gana
And he's
3-2.
just got to get in and fight. 3-2.
Well, it's been difficult for Massú because Ferrero started the match so very well, and he's been in control of so many of the points, and he's been able to dominate his opponent as much as possible. And many of those winning shots coming off both wings of the ground and the serve. It's enjoyable, perhaps, if we look back at some of the better moments of the match so far from Ferrero's point of view.
Ahora bien.
Many of the opportunities to hit winning shots because Massú is playing so deep in the court there. You can see he's a good 10 feet behind the baseline. And he's always under pressure, so it's very difficult for the Chilean to be able to control the ball. Ferrero, of course, one of the best movers in the game. Not only does he get quickly from A to B, he manages to control the angle of the racket face when he gets there, so he's able to execute his shot.
Just toweling down again. Hot work in here. Although the temperature is very pleasant for playing. A little chilly outside today. Certainly the onset of autumn is apparent in the northern hemisphere here. I think them enjoying the sunshine down in Australia as they prepare for the Davis Cup final.
Time.
And the Davis Cup final this year will, of course, see Juan Carlos Ferrero in Melbourne as part of the Spanish team. There's no doubt that he will be picked, but there's a lot of doubt about who might play the second single.
Well, of course, it was Carlos Moya in the semi-final, and he's the next highest ranked player, and of course he's a former world #1 as well as Ferrero now. But Luciano Lopez played so well this week, and of course he plays a bit more of an aggressive game than Moya. Many people are suggesting that he should be picked in the four-man team so that he can play maybe second singles and also the doubles with Alex Corretja. It certainly would give the team a little bit more flexibility and a few more options for the captain.
Of course, the tie is being played on grass. He reached the 4th round at Wimbledon this year. With Lopez, he can play on grass. Well, you have to keep his concentration tight.
0-15.
You saw the frown there after that forehand error. And he's made 10, you know, on that wing now. But as I was saying earlier, he does force off it, so there'll be a lot of winners to compensate for the 10 losers. Another forehand error.
0-30.
Concern on the face of Antonio. The door beginning to open here for Massú. Ah.
15-30.
Well, just when he was hoping to make this love 30 situation tell, he mishits it totally on the return.
40 iguales.
What a pity that. It was a second serve. Going for depth, just missing the line. Can't believe it. And he makes him pay for missing his half chance. That's his 7th ace.
Juego Ferrero.
Well, he let him off the hook a bit there.
Well, there's another service hold for Ferrero, and I think it'll be interesting to have a look using TMI at the Ferrero service outcome. The blue dots are balls that have got back into play, whereas the red ones are unreturned, and you can see how important the accuracy is. All those red balls are near the lines, and if they're slightly short or not quite to the lines, then Massú has an excellent opportunity to, and has done, got the ball back in play.
He has gone well for the lines today, has Ferrero hit them many times.
A nice combination, a good deep first serve, the return a little bit short. Massú taking full advantage of his favourite shot, as you would expect him to do. Interesting there, just seeing a picture of the ball. You can see how much that's fluffed up. We're just getting close to a change of balls, so the returner now does have the best opportunity to try and break serve, because the ball travels through the air a little slower when it fluffs up. And often that's when many of the service breaks occur, just before the change of new balls.
Yes, and Juan just confirmed for the benefit of
30-15.
Massú that the call was correct. And the players trust each other in these circumstances. No, terrific tennis.
And one of the fundamental differences between these two players is the fact that Ferrero is more solid off the backhand side than his opponent. He can dominate Massú off both sides. Many of the rallies are dominated with the forehand, but he can put Massú under pressure off the backhand, whereas the Chilean finds it very difficult to do just that.
Oh, such a deep return. Marvellous to return off. Really quite a good serve.
30-40.
And he has kept such a good length today. And earning yet another break point. 2 of 6. Here's a 7th. Yes, good serve.
Nice variation. Ferrero would be definitely expecting the big kick serve out to the backhand, but able to hit this off the same toss, a different serve up the tee. So Ferrero not picking it and taken by surprise.
Ventaja Massú.
Just needed a bit of inspiration like that. A good serve, 5th ace. If I can just cling on to the serve and keep it to within 1 break. Remember what happened in the first hit? He nearly broke back at the end. 2 break points he'd had in the 9th game.
Yep.
Well left.
Massú.
Lovely deep approach, forcing the error. And he has kept it to within 1. It's Ferrero 4-3.
Agua, agua, agua. Agua, por favor.
Well, just asking for a little bit of water, and why not? Obviously, thirsty work, having to work this hard to hold serve. It has had a tendency throughout the match to get stuck a little bit too deep behind the baseline. And as a result of that, he's unable to put Ferrero under as much pressure as he would like throughout the rally. It does give him, however, a little bit more time to chase the ball down, but it also gives Ferrero more time to recover and get back into the middle of the court. Massú likes to hit a lot of topspin, but using the initiative here, the short ball, to come into the net, and then it would have been easy to play that as it was very close to the line. But obviously the nerves have left him now, and he's able to judge the ball as well as possible, eventually leaving it and it falling just side of the sideline, so he held serve.
Well, the racket's in the foreground, ready for use when required. The restringer will be back now. He sent one off shortly after the start of the match for, we suspect, a tighter string job on the frame he sent away. At the time, he was making quite a lot of errors, and certainly he's improved in that regard in the last half hour or so. One breakdown, though, in the 2nd set. Victor Casillas there. Real. There have been a lot of them here this week. He's the man that tries to prevent goals being scored against Real. He's the goalkeeper. Did all right yesterday. I think it was 2-0. Yes, Celta Vigo, I think they were playing. I'm being reminded.
$15-0. 30-0.
Just looking down at the array, you couldn't believe that he'd missed that. Half-court ball, bread and butter normally. What a pity, really. Massú had hoped to be able to try and achieve a break back here.
It's buena, back of the line. It's
That's
buena.
4 times now. Twice he's...
It's buena. Hold front, hold back. You see it yourself.
Well, TMI doesn't
But
agree
this one from here, I
with
tell you, it was the first. This is
Mohamed
easy.
Layani. Because he's now thinking that is this Spanish plot against him. you inevitably think that.
The trouble is now, Ferrero gets 2 serves. He was facing a second serve, even if the ball was in.
Well, 2 overrules have been in favour of Ferrero, and 2 poor calls have been against Massú, so he's on the receiving end all the time, I'm afraid.
And you've got to remember, at the beginning of this set, he didn't manage to put that out of his mind, got broken early on, having had a dispute on set point. And of course, now it's going to be very difficult for him to get that out of his mind when it comes to serve to stay in this second set.
And the crowd behaved rather poorly when Ferrero was playing Ferreira. They were clapping his faults and losers. Well, he seems at least to have dismissed that overrule from his mind just now.
Obviously confident enough to be able to dominate at both wings. An excellent depth on the return of serve, forcing Massú way back behind the baseline and then able to deal with the short ball very nicely indeed. Well, they're desperate to see him hold this one.
his trainer on the left, Heli Paredes, along with Gabriel Marquez, his coach. Well served.
Cuarenta
40-30, 40-30 with ace number 6.
Massú.
Well, all ending happily for Massú. 5-4 though to Ferrero.
Well, did well, really, Massú, to put the line call out of his mind and hold serve. He's got to do that in order to keep the pressure on Ferrero. Remember, in the first set, Ferrero did get a little bit nervous towards the end of the set when he had to serve it out. And of course, Massú will be hoping that he does exactly the same in this second set, and then this time he'll want to be taking and making the most of his opportunities.
So this fun we have with the video wall, there are 2 of them in opposite corners, hanging from the beams. There's Roberto Carlos, and a lot of people just spotted him and giving him a round of applause. Giving everyone a little wave. Roberto Carlos, one of the many. Well, there he is, another one. He was here the other day as well, along with David Beckham and David's wife Victoria. Well, there you are, you see. Real Madrid. A lot of fans here.
Tempo.
Well, we're having a lot of fun with football and tennis, supporting one another here. A lot of these folk, I'm sure, have been at the match yesterday.
I couldn't miss, I tell you, I missed that. If I miss one, I cannot keep missing. I miss how it looks, you know.
And you're hearing umpire Mohammed Layani having a little altercation again with Massú, who has just had a second overall against him in the previous game. All's well, all ended well for him, though he held serve. But here is Ferrero with a chance to take the second set.
Well, it was a shame for Massú, but another example of why Ferrero is effective on both clay and hard court, smothering the half volley, excellent control of the racket face under pressure, and having the confidence to come into the net in a key game such as this.
Perfect in length, that approach.
Ball boy, please. Ball boy.
Unfortunately for Massú, Ferrero is playing wonderful tennis, reminding us of his status as the world's #1 player on the entry computer. And if he wins today, he'll also be the leader in the race. try as he will, there is just nothing he can do today. 40 love and 3 set points. Sheer desperation.
Massú hasn't been able to get around on that outside and use his forehand as much as he would like to return the Ferrero's second serve. It's usually one of his biggest weapons.
40-15.
Well, a lovely aggressive point from the Chilean. Two saved. Well, this is rather reminiscent of the last game of the first set, when he led 30 love, served a double fault, and had to save 2 break points before he clinched it.
Ventaja, Ferrero.
A 4th set point. And he's done it.
Segunda set, Ferrero.
So a good serve finishes it nicely. An hour and 44 minutes they've been playing. And Juan Carlos Ferrero moves 2 sets to love ahead. 6-3, 6-4.
Well, you've got to say that Ferrero has got slightly tight when he's had the opportunity to serve out for both the first and the second sets, but the important thing is that he's managed to hold serve on both occasions. And the trainer's just come on now just to see to the strapping on his right thigh. But I don't think that's given him any problems to date in this match, and I think if we have a look at the second set summary, we'll see that Massú's first serve percentage has dropped enormously since the first set, and that's causing him all sorts of problems. He only hit 7 winners, but double that amount of unforced errors. So he's really playing a very ineffective game from the baseline, and as yet, nowhere near getting a handle on Ferrero's serve. Didn't manage to get a break point in the whole of that second set. On the other hand, Ferrero, 62% of first serves. He'll be delighted with that because they are very effective. Same amount of winners and unforced errors, 8 each of those, and generating a lot of break point opportunities, and managed to get the vital break.
Well, this is how the set ended. It was a very, very good serve after the shakiness that he'd shown. He needed something like that to steady the nerves. And the good, the wonderful thing, there's Patricia about to react, I think, to the capture of that second set. Sheer delight. And the important thing is that to be able to steady yourself and find the right shot when you're just less confident than you had been in a match. I mean, no player, well, very few players go through an entire match without the odd patch of doubt.
Absolutely. Agassi was saying earlier this year that he still gets nervous when he serves out matches, still gets nervous when he has the opportunity to win titles. And so there's no doubt about the fact that Ferrero will be getting a little bit more nervous than usual when he gets into winning situations, as he has done in both the first and the second sets. But the key is that he recognizes that. He then chooses to play to his strengths, pick shots that he's very confident in making. And so far, Massú hasn't been able to take advantage of either of those opportunities. So Ferrero now standing in a very, very strong position. It's going to take a monumental effort for Massú to come back from a 2-set-to-love deficit.
Well, I think really the score does reflect correctly the difference in standard between these two. Yes, Massú has made huge strides and he's still making them, but he's not yet quite in the Ferrero class.
No doubt about it. They both play a very similar game plan. Big first serves, big forehands, very quick around the court, but Ferrero does it better. It's as simple as that, and he's #1 in the world, so very difficult to take on Ferrero in Spain in this kind of atmosphere in a tournament as big as this when you haven't had the experience that he has.
Third set. Massú to serve. Serve here that does it, carrying Ferrero so wide he can't do more than flick it back to half court, and of course it does open up the angle.
Well, lovely tennis from Ferrero. See the height over the net there, which gives him the depth. And then Massú forced to drop the ball short, and he's expecting Ferrero to hit a big forehand there. And at the very last moment, opens the angle of the racket face and does the exact opposite.
Nothing working for him, he thinks, today. He's had the overalls to contend with as well. It was all working, though, for Mahesh Bhupathi and Max Mirny. Earlier today, they won their 5th title of the year. The doubles final played earlier today against Blank and Ulliott. Wayne Blank and Wayne Ulliott. Well, he's putting himself in an awful situation again in both the first and the second sets. He lost his first service game. And here he is with 2 break points. Oh dear. Well, that should launch him nicely.
That's a perfect start again for Ferrero. Early break in all 3 sets now. And it's going to be very difficult to see how Massú's going to be able to get back into this match. It's going to be interesting if we have a look using TMI at the service direction of both players, starting with Ferrero. Look how much he's been able to vary his serve, particularly in the outside. A lot of serves going into Massú's body and excellent accuracy on the aces. And the second serve, very good too. The majority of those going to his opponent's backhand. If we flip that around, I think we'll see something a little bit different Massú has been a little bit obvious in his service placement. No serves really into Ferrero's body, and therefore Ferrero's been pretty comfortable returning serve, and he's had a lot more success obviously breaking.
He has already broken. He's 1-0. Well, he'd already won the point in his mind before he hit the ball. This was such a good, deep approach and such a forced, short ball that he thought, well, it was a routine kill. Took his eye off the ball, and that's the result. Oh, dear.
Iguales. Treinta, 15.
Well, that's what he meant to do before.
I thought this was a poor shot selection from Ferrero. He wasn't really up the court enough to be able to play an effective drop shot, and therefore he brought his opponent into the net, and it's very difficult to win the point from there, even though he did so on the first point of the game.
Cuarenta, 30. Juego Ferrero.
Another unforced error.
Ferrero gana 2-0.
6 unforced errors in this set already. I'm afraid his game is looking a little ragged now. Small wonder he's been so much under the gun. Ferrero hitting the lines, serving well, generally outplaying him.
The thing that Ferrero has been able to do exceptionally well in this match is consolidate the break. He's got that early, and then he's managed to hold the next game as well, so allowing Massú no chance to get back into any of the sets so far.
15-0.
Well, at least he's still fighting away here. 7 aces now.
Iguales. 30-15.
And this pattern of games uncannily like both the first and the second sets. Having lost his opening service game, he then won his second one both times. He hasn't won this one yet, of course, but it looks as if he might. I think his problem today is that his winners, in quotation marks, are coming back against Chela, who played much further back than Ferrero. Some of those angles were winning shots, and against a rather slow and slightly injured El Ainaoui. He had a heel problem on his right foot. The same was true. Well, he may not hold this serve after all. The forehand has been a real problem for him. 19 times he's hit the ball and made an unforced error on that wing. And just 3 winners, so... I mean, it wouldn't be so bad if there were dozens of winners as well as all those errors, but the mix is all wrong.
Ventaja, Massú.
Well, there's Ferrero vying for a place in with him. I don't think it's quite as good a left foot as he's got. Yes, I don't think he'll be asked to go to the training ground for practice tomorrow. Ah, well done. So he does hold to complete the symmetry of the previous 2 sets. He's a breakdown, Ferrero 2-1.
Dame un agua. Agua, por favor.
Well, Massú's nothing if not competitive, so there's no doubt that he's going to continue to give his all duration of this match, but he's made way too many unforced errors so far to be anywhere near effective. An incredible 19 on the forehand. You would expect him to make a few on that wing because that's the shot that he likes to dominate his opponent with, but not that many. 11 off the backhand, so in total 30 at the baseline. Just the one at the net, and has yet to serve a double fault, but 31 unforced errors is really way too many to be effective against somebody of the caliber of Ferrero. Ferrero, on the other hand, hasn't made anywhere near as many unforced errors. 21 from the back of the court, 11 on the forehand, 10 on the backhand, and just the 1 double fault. And when you think about the fact that Ferrero has been the one dominating the play from the baseline the vast majority of time, that's a very good ratio. So no question why Ferrero finds himself in such a good position.
They've been playing for exactly 2 hours, and at the start of each set the man nearest us has established a mental edge, and these games are won in the mind. He has persuaded Massú that he is in charge. And hard as the Chilean will fight, I don't fancy his chances. Well, the newspaper that they produce here in association with this tournament, a little small but colourful publication, has on its front cover each day the man of the moment, and the two men of the moment, of course, in today's paper, the finalists. Well promoted, this whole event, as you'd expect with anything associated with the Ontario, one of the master promoters of the sport. And I think even now, the president of the Olympic Association in his country, in Romania.
Let service. Quien. 30-0.
Despair on the face of Massú as Ferrero here thumps in another accurate serve. It's been a familiar tale this afternoon.
Very confident shot selection from Ferrero, excellent length on the serve, and then instead of moving back and letting that ball bounce and finding himself in a 50-50 situation, instead electing to come in and take it out of the air so effectively.
Let previous service. Ferrero.
Well, he might just as well go for broke now.
Ferrero gana 3-1.
Trailing by 2 sets to love and the break and 40 love on the Ferrero serve, just as well to go for a quick winner.
It's difficult to criticise Massú this week because he's played, such great tennis, but the really disappointing thing from my point of view is the fact that he hasn't really tried anything differently in terms of tactics throughout the match. Obviously, he would like to play better, but sometimes you're not going to play your best tennis, and you've got to try and find a way to win the particular match that you're playing. And he hasn't really done that for me today.
How could I do such a thing? And of course, you're absolutely right, but he's playing a man today who holds all the aces. Ferrero's returning of the serve has been embarrassing Massú by its accuracy and depth, the depth particularly. Ferrero's serve has been superior.
Iguales. 15.
Well, it's been a nightmare really for Massú in terms of unforced errors. 10 in the first, 14 in the second, 10 so far in the third, whereas look at Ferrero. 13 in the opening set, only 8 in the second, just a couple in this. So really improved his play throughout the match, whereas Massú continued to play rather poorly.
Well done.
Well, a massive point for both players, but particularly Massú missed that shot there, which was very difficult. Found himself 2 break points down. The third set would have been very difficult indeed to get back from there. So he knows the importance of the point, and he was able to execute a very difficult half volley with extremely good control of the racket face under pressure.
Too good.
Well, it was a great point from Ferrero, but Massú playing into his hands, just hitting each ball back short and up the middle, and in those positions Ferrero is king of the baseline.
There goes another serve. And royal approval for that second break of serve in this set 4.
Ferrero gana 4-1.
Jason, you were suggesting that Massú could have tried something different, and absolutely right, you have to change a losing game, but against a Ferrero in the sort of form he is today, it's difficult to think of what he might have done.
Well, it's not easy, but I think what he could have done is perhaps start to use a few more short angles. Ferrero is very comfortable 2 or 3 feet behind the baseline and then trying to move his opponent side to side, as is a player like Agassi. But if you can take him out of his comfort zone by perhaps returning serve using a short angle, Massú definitely can put enough spin on the ball to be able to create those angles, and then perhaps he could exploit the open court and then perhaps sneak into the net. We've seen him in his other matches this week, occasionally serve and volley behind a big kick serve, occasionally come into the net after a big forehand to his opponent's backhand, but today he's been stuck way back behind the baseline and therefore nowhere near as effective.
Just making sure that he's got his head adjusted properly before the resumption. Ferrero in total command of this match, as he has been really from the word go, against a nervous opponent to start with, who lost his nerves, threatened to break back at the end of the first set, failed there, and ever since it's been all Ferrero. And the dome of the Rocodromo looking down on a scene that will delight all those Spanish supporters who want to see their man become the world #1 on both the race listings and on the entry computer. He's already the latter, and in a few games' time, I fancy he will overtake Roddick, Andy Roddick, to become the #1 in the race.
15-0.
Ace number 8.
Well, this is what we talked about in terms of trying to change tactics, seeing Ferrero under pressure, having to go to the one hand on the backhand. Massú able to sneak in and deal with the volley in order to win the point.
A rush of blood to the head there.
That was awful shot selection. You can see he stood well behind the baseline, and therefore Massú has a lot more time to be able to make the distance, even if the drop shot's a good one, which in that case it wasn't. And Massú able to volley into the open court.
That's the problem he's set Massú all day. As often as not, when in trouble, he's found a really telling blow on serve. His 9th ace. Full marks there to Massú, waited for the right ball and did unload without error. Sadly, the errors have been far too frequent when he's tried that, but not this time. He hasn't yet managed the break. But perhaps this will be the moment. Now then, what will that do? It will certainly lift his spirits. And I think it will irritate Ferrero that he allowed that to happen.
Ironic, really, that they break serve when he's down and out in the match. Ferrero just breaking a string on the last shot of the last rally, which obviously caused him to be unable to control the ball, but Ferrero had the luxury of a double break, now just down to the one. So still a lot of work to be done by Massú, but I think just a lack of concentration really from Ferrero. You could see that in the attempted drop shots, a couple of unforced errors. Unusual, but finding himself in such a comfortable position, it's perhaps understandable.
So a change of tennis balls. Got a couple of siblings, this fella, 2 brothers, one older, one younger, and it was with his older brother Georgi that he started this game at the age of 5. And I don't think any of the family are here to see him reach his first Masters Series final, which is a pity. Because he's played his heart out this week. Just a little overmatched today.
LED de servicio.
What a second serve that was.
30-0.
And it certainly has spurred him, this first break of Ferrero's serve just now. Such a good return, though. The depth, the pace.
30-15.
Moving Ferrero out of court with the serve. Excellent length on the return, causing Massú to a forehand error. One of many, unfortunately, for the Chilean this afternoon.
You're right, I think his concentration momentarily has slipped.
40-15.
Tony Martinez keeping an eye on things here. But we would expect his man to regroup mentally.
Juego, Massú.
Well, what a pity that Massú's charge didn't start a little earlier. He's a breakdown still. It's Ferrero 4-3. And I must say the enthusiasm of the spectators here has been quite wonderful. There have been so many of them. By the time the count is made, I think we'll see that close to 100,000 people have been here with the 9,500 roughly today. It'll be about 98,200, something like that, and that is a wonderful number for an indoor event in only its second year. And I think the fans here love to see themselves on this wall, one of the two big screens that hang from the rafters. All rather fun. It's me. Wonderful to see the different effect it has on people. Well, we see laughter, we see embarrassment, we see pride, we see astonishment when the fans realise that they're being put up on one of the two big screens that sit in the two corners. And some, well, just want to go on sleeping. And our famous film producer giving the crowd a little bit of a wave. All rather fun. I must say, all the things surrounding this tournament were beautifully provided, the entertainment areas and so on. A nice press room here. Plenty of refreshment areas for the public. And Ferrero with just one break now. 2 sets to love and 4-3. Now that, I think, was on the line. His luck has changed at last.
Ferrero doesn't like it. He thinks that the ball just missed. But it was a good forehand, and it was a nice aggressive first point from Massú. Taking the initiative. Got a bit of momentum on his side now, and he's got to make the most of it. And TMI there showing that the ball did indeed just clip the edge of the line.
Well, now, here is Ferrero doubting himself for once. That's unusual. So close to victory. And it all started 2 games ago on his own serve. He was a little casual. You remember that rather ill-advised drop shot, or attempted drop shot? It turned into just a half-court gift.
Huge opportunity there for Massú. Ferrero had the option to go into the space or back behind. Excellent anticipation from Massú. Chose to stand his ground and had his favourite forehand in order to try and make the pass, but unable to do so.
Well, well, well. Just shows you if you go on fighting, you never know, your opponent may let you win, and that's exactly what's happened. Perfectly routine return of serve was skied by Ferrero. 2 break points.
Massú held the upper hand throughout the rally. Didn't do enough with that backhand though. That was the one that needed to be hit a little bit more out in front of his body to get the necessary angle cross court. Just instead going up the middle so that Ferrero is able to do enough with the next forehand to keep himself in the game.
Marcus there literally on the edge of his seat. Another of those line-clinging serves, making sure of getting the first one in.
Well, the adage you reminded us of earlier in the week, John, was you're only as good as your second serve, and under pressure here, doesn't get any better than that.
Well, perhaps he has regrouped just in time.
Ventaja, Ferrero. Juego, Ferrero.
The shot of a champion. And royal approval again for that ace, his 11th. And Patricia enjoying it too, and indeed 99% of those present. He's now just 4 points away from a first indoor title. Wanting us to show us that he can perform on all surfaces.
0-15.
Well, what a pity that he should serve his first double fault at this juncture.
I like this tactic from Massú, the big kick serve, because it's not as speedy as perhaps a flat one would be. Gives him more time to get into the net, close off the volley, therefore making it a little bit easier. And I don't think he's done that enough throughout today's encounter, but perhaps it's not too late.
Perfect timing, perfect length.
Surprise the key here. Look at Massú. His initial movement was just to his left, expecting Ferrero to return the ball cross court, but instead going down the line and the shot unanswered.
Rather summing up his day, I'm afraid. The forehand errors have been very destructive for him. And that last one has given Ferrero a first championship point. That's it. Well, what a moment for this young Spaniard, 23 years of age, and now ruler of the world game. The number one on the entry computer, now the race leader, overtaking Andy Roddick. Undisputed world number one. And royal approval for a terrific performance, 6-3, 6-4, 6-3, 2 hours and a half it's taken him to win his first indoor title and his fourth title of the year.
The sign of a truly great player is the ability to peak during an event, and Ferrero has done just that this week. I think it's one of his most important victories, his first Tennis Masters Shield indoors and on hard courts. He wanted to prove that he's capable of playing tennis at the highest level on all surfaces, indoors and out, and I think with today's victory he's done just that.
No question about it. Signing off as the Madrid Masters champion. And that is a very proud moment for him to have done it at home in Spain. It's his fourth such title now, adding to the clay court wins in Rome and Monte Carlo. 2 there in Monte Carlo last year, and this and Rome back in 2001. I think this marks him as a real all-rounder. will now be looking to repeat that in Paris to keep the challengers at bay. Just removing the strapping on that thigh that was troubled him. That was protective rather than not an injury, but just to prevent an injury. And I think in Paris he's really laid down the gauntlet now. And of course there is still the Davis Cup to come to end his year, and it would be just wonderful for him if he ended the year as the world's #1 by winning the Houston title, the Tennis Masters Cup, and then completing the job by bringing the cup back for Spain. But we're going to have the presentation ceremony. The dignitaries about to make their way forward. His Highness the Prince of Asturias will be among them. We've seen him already. The Mayor of Madrid, Mr. Alberto Ruiz Galardon, along with the tournament director Manolo Santana, and the former International Olympic Committee President Juan Antonio Samaranch, and Jon Tyriak. He'll be there too, the brains behind this event, really.
Hace su entrada en la pista central del Tenis Master Madrid Su Alteza Real, el Príncipe de Asturias, acompañado de Mike Miles, director ejecutivo del ATP, y Jon Tyriak, asesor del Tenis Master Madrid, José Antonio Samaranch, presidente honorífico del COI, el excelentísimo señor alcalde de Madrid, don Alberto Ruiz Gallardón, y Manolo Santana, director del Tenis Master Madrid.
And Master of Ceremonies on court, Julio Nieto. There's the Prince.
Muchísimas gracias a todos y en primer lugar vamos a llamar al jugador finalista, el jugador que entraba a última hora en el cuadro y que desde luego ha aprovechado muy bien su oportunidad. Va a entregar el premio Su Alteza Real, el Príncipe de Asturias, a Nicolás Massú, finalista del Tenis Master Madrid 2003.
So, as usual, it is the beaten finalist who comes forward first. And Nicolás Massú thanking the fans who have supported him. Been a very enthusiastic band of Chileans waving their flags all week for him. Clutching his first finalist's piece of glassware there, Waterford Crystal, as the finalist for the first time at a Masters Series.
Yo creo que ha sido tu gran semana, tu semana mágica, como tú nos has venido diciendo todos los días, ¿no?
Sí, bueno, lógico que estoy un poco triste, normal. Quería ganar este torneo, no se pudo.
Magic
Creo
week
que
it's
hoy
been,
me
he's rather
enfrenté,
sad,
bueno,
he says.
al número 1 del mundo, lo quiero felicitar.
Congratulating Ferrero to
Bueno, creo que
become the world #1.
Fue una semana súper buena para mí, como te
And on the
digo.
way he played.
Quiero darle las gracias
It's been a
a mis
wonderful week, he
entrenadores,
says, for him here in
a la gente
Madrid.
que me apoyó, a los chilenos, a los españoles también
His
que
coach,
vinieron a
of
apoyar
course,
a
he's
Juan Carlos.
thanking now Gabriel Marcus and all the supporters, and thanking the crowd.
Gracias a todos los sponsors, a los Recoge Pelota,
Thanking now
Mike
the sponsors,
Miles, Jon Tyriak y bueno, a toda
the
la
ball
gente.
boys,
¿no?
the
Muchas gracias
officials.
por todo y bueno, espero el
dignitaries.
próximo año volver a ver si alguna vez gano acá. Muchas gracias por todo.
And he says he hopes to come back next year and do even better. Well, he's a very popular man, and he's a man I think we're going to see a lot more of, still improving at the age of 24.
Y ahora el vencedor de esta segunda edición del Tennis Master Madrid, número 1 del mundo tanto en la clasificación del ATP como en la carrera de campeones, Juan Carlos Ferrero entrega el premio Su Alteza Real, el Príncipe de Asturias.
And now, the new champion here in Madrid, who will also receive 450,000 euros for his trouble. Half that sum going to Massú today. But what is important to him is that shield. It's his fourth, but the first one indoors. And very important, he said before the start that it should be here in Spain that he did it.
Bueno, en primer lugar, pues creo que es bastante difícil para mí hablar delante de toda esta gente, pero voy a intentar hacer lo mejor que pueda. Enhorabuena, por supuesto, a Nico Massú, porque creo que ha mejorado muchísimo en este año. Ha ganado a jugadores que tienen muchísima calidad y creo que está entre los mejores del mundo, Nico.
Congratulating Nicolás Massú on his marvellous week. Good victories, he said.
Cómo no, agradecer a su Alteza Real por haber venido. No muchas ocasiones se puede estar delante. A todos los organizadores del torneo, Marmal, John Tiria, el resto.
And the organisers of the tournament.
También agradecer a los sponsors, tal vez un poquito más alineados, que nos han hecho un empujoncito con las entradas para ayudarnos a que pudiésemos estar más cómodos. A los recogepelotas, a toda la gente que ha hecho posible que este torneo sea tan maravilloso, a toda la gente de Madrid que ha venido a apoyarme y a toda la gente del resto de España.
Who made this such a successful tournament, and the crowd too, and all in Spain who supported them.
Cómo no, agradecerle a todo mi equipo que está ahí en la altura, un poco más alto, a los que están aquí en primera fila y bueno, este triunfo, en vez de dedicárselo a mi madre que estará allá arriba, se lo dedico a mi padre.
And his mother is watching at home, and from above, of course. Not at home, excuse me, of course she passed away a year or so ago.
Y nada más, ya con esto me despido y espero volver el año que viene y disfrutar como he disfrutado desde el primer momento con todos vosotros. Muchas gracias.
Looking forward to coming back next year and thanking everybody once again. Well, a delightful young man. He's a great credit to his country. There's his girlfriend, Patricia. And I don't think there's much doubt now that he is the best player in the world. He's proved it. Andre Agassi, of course, may have something to say about that, but he wasn't here.
Que me permite por empezar a felicitar al finalista que se ganó el lugar en esta final con un tiraje muy difícil, ganando al ganador de Open de Estados Unidos. Y después quiero felicitar a un jugador que ganó un Grand Slam, que fue en final de un otro y hoy ganó el cuarto Master Series. El número 1 del mundo se lo merita Juan Carlos Ferrero. Te felicito. Tienes un año sensacional. Y antes de terminar, quiero dar gracias a toda esta gente que trabajó 9 días por hacer de este torneo un gran suceso.
Worked so hard to make this such a successful event.
Vosotros que están en tribuna y los otros que vinieron acá 7 días, los 117,000 espectadores hacen de este torneo el mejor torneo del mundo en 7 días, de los más grandes.
A record crowd, indeed it was. Scalpers were up there selling tickets for today.
Países que transmitieron esta final hoy en todo el mundo. Madrid se lo merita, España se lo merita, el ganador también. Espero de tenernos el año que viene. Muchas gracias.
And he's just telling everybody that this tournament has been broadcast all around the world to millions of tennis fans, and very good for Madrid. Here's Manolo Santana, always a favourite here in his hometown. Wimbledon champion, French champion, US champion.
Quiero felicitar efectivamente a Juan Carlos porque ha demostrado lo gran campeón que es, a Massú que ha llegado a la final y ha ganado unos grandes partidos.
Congratulating Ferrero.
Agradecer muchísimo a los niños recopelotas, a los jueces de línea, a toda la gente que ustedes no ven o que no veis, que han hecho posible que este torneo tenga el éxito que ha tenido el año pasado y este. Y solamente pedir nuevamente al Ayuntamiento de Madrid que nos siga ayudando, que haya confiado en mí, se lo agradezco muchísimo, señor alcalde y Alteza. Su presencia hoy aquí ha sido tan importante para nosotros que nos ha dado con su presencia aquí lo que estábamos deseando. Un prestigio increíble, sobre todo que nos ha ayudado para que toda esta gente disfrute muchísimo aquí en Madrid. Muchísimas gracias a todos y sin vuestra ayuda hubiera sido imposible conseguir esto. Muchas gracias.
Bueno, pues de esta forma damos ya por finalizada la entrega de premios. Solamente decirles que el año que viene les esperamos aquí del 9 al 17 de octubre en esta misma pista central del Tenis Master Madrid. Buenas noches y muchísimas gracias.
In your papers tomorrow morning and in all the tennis journals around the world. A very good one there is too in Spain. First with the Prince, and then of course there'll be the individual ones for the two players. Well, I think Massú can look back with pride on a week here that saw him in his 5th final of the year. He's had a couple of wins and a couple of runners-up places before today, and I think his wins over Chileno and Roddick particularly will be remembered for a long time. These are very precious moments to the players too. They'll be able to look back on these photos in later years and remember the time when they were young and fit and strong and playing some really glorious tennis. And one can only think that there are still better things to come from Juan Carlos Ferrero, because he hasn't yet won Wimbledon, and I know secretly he believes he could on grass. He's done well there. He was a 4th round loser there this year, and no reason why he can't do well in the Davis Cup final on that surface against probably Hewitt and Philippoussis at the end of the year. It would be a wonderful thing for France, if like for Spain, if like France, they could go to Australia and beat them on grass. That's what the French did a couple of years ago. So there we are. That's the end of our coverage, and I hope you at home have enjoyed all the tennis and all the excitement with us here this week in Madrid. We shall be back in about 8 days' time in Paris. I hope you'll be joining us there for the last of the Masters Series events. And meanwhile, from Jason Goodall and myself, John Barrett, and indeed our entire production team, it's time to wish you goodbye from Madrid.